government. You cannot provide security to each and every individual. Tejunda, the government argues that in the last few years, they have worked extensively to ensure that the terror funding is cut, that the elements who are getting any kind of support from across the border in Pakistan are nabbed, and any kind of political subterfuge that they have is taken care of. But there is this new trend which has emerged, the overground workers. Ravindra Sharma, I'm being told Ravindra Sharma from the Jammu and Kashmir Congress is also joining us on the broadcast. Ravindra ji, thank you so much for speaking to us. A very unfortunate incident has happened in the valley. 2 brothers were shot dead from the Kashmiri Pandit community. One of them is dead and the other is critical at the hospital. Your thoughts?
This is highly unfortunate, highly condemnable and totally unacceptable. The government has failed in controlling the innocent killings, particularly the killings of Hindus, especially the minorities, Kashmiri Pandits, Sikhs and others. And Jammu employees who are working in Kashmir have become vulnerable for the last more than 1 year. And these kind of targeted and selective killings are continuing for the last around more than 1.5 years. And this is increasing. This is very unfortunate. This is highly condemnable. Pakistan or terrorists are behind. But what the government has to do, government must ensure their safety and security. All those minorities, especially the Kashmiri Pandits, who are vulnerable, whether they are the employees, migrant employees from Jammu, or those who are in Kashmir Valley, they should be secured by all means. And this cannot be allowed to happen because number of such killings have taken place in the recent past. They are targeting Kashmiri Pandits, they are targeting Jammu employees, they are targeting laborers from outside Jammu Kashmir. What is happening in Kashmir?
This unfortunate trend. This unfortunate trend of
1990 situation.
This unfortunate trend of killings in Kashmir and the sort of violence and blood that we have seen in the valley has been going on for decades now. As a key political party in the valley, what are your demands from the government, and how is it that we can ensure that Kashmiri Pandits are not targeted, they're not thrown out of the valley and given some kind of security?
This happened in 1990, and the minority community had to flee from Kashmir Valley. Thereafter, targeted and selective killings of minorities have not taken place in such a scale. It is only in the past 2 years or 1.5 years such selective killings have picked up, and this is again becoming a trend in Kashmir Valley. They are targeting minorities, especially Kashmiri Pandits. They are targeting minorities who are employees working in Kashmir Valley from Jammu region. They are targeting laborers, workers, or people from outside Jammu Kashmir working in Kashmir Valley. And they are targeting their own people, their Kashmiri Muslims too. And they too have become victims in more than numbers. But the question is, such kind of selective and targeted killings have not taken place during the last 30 years after 1990. And in such a scale and such a phenomena, and in such a planned manner. This is very serious threat. We are all together. We are with the government. As an opposition, we can only extend support. We are with the government for all kinds of genuine actions, all kinds of genuine steps to ensure the safety and security of all innocent, especially minorities, especially people from outside Kashmir. They should be secured first. They are our guests. Those who come and work in Kashmir Valley. Although they are not targeting tourists, they are not targeting pilgrims, they are targeting and say there is a definite nefarious design behind such killings. And
Ravindra Sharma ji, thank you so much for speaking to us. A family is grieving, they've lost one of their sons and the other is injured and critical. My colleague Irshad is sending us a ground report from the valley. Let's go to that.
बात है जहाँ पे सुनील पंडित और उसका भाई था। सुनील पंडित वही है जिसको करीब 3 महीने पहले जो मेडिकल शॉप पे यहाँ पे अपना काम कर रहे थे, उस टाइम उस पर गोलियां चलाई गई, तब वो जख्मी हुआ था। आज उस पर फिर एक बार फायरिंग की गई है। सुनील पंडित की मौत जो है यहीं पे स्पॉट पे हुई है और उसका जो भाई है उसको बेस हॉस्पिटल, आर्मी बेस हॉस्पिटल शिफ्ट किया गया है। फिलहाल जो है इस पूरे इलाके को कॉर्डन ऑफ किया गया है। अभी जो है तलाशी अभियान शुरू किया गया है, तलाशी जारी है। तो जो अभी सुनील पंडित का हम बता रहे हैं, उस सुनील पंडित को पहले 3 महीना पहले यहाँ पे मिलिटेंट ने अपनी ही दुकान पे जो मेडिकल शॉप चला था उस पर गोलियाँ चलाई थी, और उसके बाद आज दोबारा उस पर हमला किया गया, और आज के हमले में उसकी जान चली गई है, और उसका जो भाई है वो जख्मी हुआ है। इरशाद मलिक, न्यूज़ 18 नेटवर्क।
That was the report of my colleague Irshad Malik. He was telling us what exactly has transpired on the ground. Of course, the security forces will swing into action. The local police administration will ensure that there is justice which is served, and the people who are responsible for this dastardly attack are nabbed by the security forces. We have seen that in the past as well, there were multiple encounters that were conducted in the valley, nabbing the culprits who have been targeted, systematically targeting the minorities in the valley. As my colleague Tejinder and Irshad have been reporting, the situation continues to remain a tense one. The agencies are on a high alert. These brothers were receiving threat. What happened was that they were working at their Apple Orchid. The terrorists came and shot on them. One of them is dead and the other is critically injured at the hospital. What is the most unfortunate part is that this is not the first or even the last incident of such nature that has happened. The Kashmiri Pandits, which had returned to the valley under the special schemes of the government, continue to be targeted by the terrorist element who receive support from across the border. Tejinder Singh Sodhi, my colleague, is with us on the broadcast. Tejinder, let's talk about the spate of attacks or the pattern in the attacks that we have seen in the last 6 months, or rather 1 year, especially when it comes to the minority community.
You see, the modus operandi of these terrorists is to hire these hybrid terrorists, give them a weapon, and send them to carry out these selective assassinations. We saw this happening in the case of the Kashmiri Pandit Rahul Bhatt, in Bhatt and several other Kashmiri Pandits. We saw how they are being selected and they are being targeted and they are being killed. The aim of these terrorists is to scare away the Kashmiri Pandit community so that they leave Kashmir Valley, and the nefarious design of Pakistan to see Kashmir as an exclusively Muslim-dominated area becomes successful. So in order to foil the designs of Pakistan, it is imperative that the members of the minority community, they do live in Kashmir, though the security forces time and again, they have been identifying these modules of hybrid terrorism, hybrid terrorists which carry out attacks on minority community. The security agencies we saw in the recent past, if you say in the past 6 to 7 months, large number of terrorists who were involved in civilian killings, they have been eliminated. But as we have been continuously saying that today's killing is not the first killing, and it is not going to be, unfortunately, it's not going to be the last. Terrorists, in their desperation, if you remember what we have seen since the Pulwama terror attack, they used to target security forces. Then they knew that the reaction would be that the Indian Air Force and the Indian Army, they would enter inside Pakistan and carry out big attacks like the surgical strike or the Balakot attack. But these type of selective assassination, these type of attacks, they know that the government of India is not going to react the way they reacted when Pulwama happened. So the modus operandi of these terrorists is to continue targeting the civilian population, continue
Tejinder, thank you so much. Thank you so much for getting us all the details on the story. A very, very unfortunate story. Thoughts and prayers with the family of Sunil, and we hope that his brother recovers very soon. He is critically